Yo, it's finally fucking here.
We're here.
We are here. The Cray.
I don't even know where the fuck I'm at. Like, what did you guys even pull me into?
Bro, this has been, I want to say months in the making, but the reality is this is over a year in the making. Sean and I talking about doing a podcast. There've been a lot of the iterations with a lot of other guys, a lot of other conversations, and somehow this shit is
This was the
happening,
final
man.
team
The
right
Cray.
here.
This
This
is
was
it.
the.
This is
This is it, you know. We'll see what it is. I don't know how to do a fucking podcast. I know this motherfucker doesn't know how to do a podcast. I have a feeling you do, but
yeah, a little bit. What's up with all this Air One shit though? It's like,
yeah, you know what, I'm not even on their fucking payroll. I just stopped there, and I was like, I recognize that, you know, it is probably pandering to the people at Air One to.
You're going to put some public pressure on them. They're going to have to reach out to you now and be like, all right, let's work out a product placement deal.
I was all set up, you know. I got myself set up, but there is a cigar that's Romeo Juliet. Okay. And there is some other shit that's not product placement, but it's not product placement.
It's just as long as your car is not wrapped in Air One. Like your car says Air One.
No, but it is the only place I eat, man. You know what I mean? But we can get into my dietary restrictions on the next episode when we bring in the diet specialist. The Cray, man. The Cray. I am Rob Weiss.
I am O'Neal McKnight.
And I am Sean Chase.
And this is the Cray. I mean, I guess I could give a little bit of background on how we landed on the Cray. You know, Sean and I went out to lunch with I believe he's the founder of Podcast One, Norm Pettis, and we would talk. We had, like I said, we had multiple conversations with other people about podcasts. And Norm looked at us and he goes, "You know what? You guys are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You're fucking crazy. I think all your fucking friends are crazy." And you guys,
I don't know if there was as many F-bombs in there, but yeah, you know.
But the bottom line is, he was like, "You are fucking crazy, and you should do a show called The Crazies." He did say that.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure he dropped an F-bomb.
Okay,
you know,
maybe he did.
I mean, I don't know what is he.
I was
like,
enjoying my Caesar salad, so I don't know.
There you go. There you go.
Poolside.
So, basically, we started to look at it, and it was like, you know what? It wasn't so much about. You know, I mean, obviously I have a little crazy in me, of course, and I think everybody has a little crazy in them. And I'm not trying to, like, make a joke about, like, the stigma of real mental health.
Yeah.
At situations, but I think that even, you know, there is a certain amount of levity in the craziness that we deal with, right? You know what I mean? Meaning everybody's got idiosyncrasies. Everybody's just a little bit kind of, like, off, or a little bit, has a little bit of a different thing, a little unique vibe that other people may interpret is fucking bananas.
Dude, we're living in crazy times at the end of the day.
Like, bro, there's no way around that. You know what I mean? I mean, there's no way around.
In our lifetime, it won't be as crazy as it is now.
No, it won't. So, you know, we were like, yo, let's do a show that chops it up about that week after week. It's not about getting inside of the crazy, but it's like, you know, let's have like really cool fucking guests who are willing to share some of the crazy shit about life and
crazy stories.
Yes, absolutely, and you know, and just have some fucking fun, man. Keep it real and be honest and transparent about all these wild things that go on in life. But yeah, I think honesty is a key word. But you know,
there you go. So this is a safe place to be crazy. Cray.
Depends. It depends on how cray you want to get, because some motherfuckers tried to get cray and it was not a safe place for them.
Because I'm just trying to figure, is there like a cray meter? Like, do you ever go over the cray meter?
I think when people are self-aware, they know when they've crossed the line of cray.
Okay.
That's true.
There is a line to all cray, and anybody who's ever been in a relationship knows that. And I'm not saying it's like men looking at women. I'm saying it's women looking at men too. Like, yo, my man fucking lost his shit.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? You know that, especially when you're dealing with other people. People can push you, and
there's a thin line.
But there is a line.
Got you. I just want to make sure.
It's a fine line.
It's a fine line. So now, is there a fine line for us in the cray space?
I don't know, but you know, for the audience, they're going to know if we've crossed that fine line of cray, because they'll come to the next episode and one of us won't be.
That's when you know we'll cross the line.
One of us won't be at the fucking table, and you'll be like,
let me
Rob's out. We have a note from Rob. Oh, I have appendicitis. I am so sorry. And then 2 weeks later, I'll be like, I'm going to relinquish my spot on the Cray. But, yo, listen, man. I mean, the reality is the world is fucking far from perfect.
Yeah.
We ain't perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I don't need people to tell me, like, oh, this motherfucker did this. I know. I get it. We all got our shit. So let's fucking have some fun, man.
Let's have some
bullshit
fun
with some cool ass people.
Yep.
And fortunately, we met these amazing people that were introduced to us to be our title sponsors. Mercari, an incredible
Have you actually used Mercari yourself before?
No, I was like doing all this research. So it's like basically I can sell this shirt that I have on right now.
It's pretty amazing, actually. You could actually buy and sell anything on there. I mean, like from clothing to electronics to home goods. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. And, you know, considering we've been living at home for the last year and a half, now things are starting to open up. You know, you see so many people that were sitting on gold mines of stuff that they can't use, they can't wear, they can't go out with, no one's going out. And, you know, it's pretty hilarious. I mean, it's a pretty amazing platform when you think about it. They got like 300,000 new listings every day, which is like a staggering statistic to me.
Yeah, you think like through the pandemic, they just like exploded.
And
you know,
got, like,
I know they have like 50 million downloaded.
50 million downloads. That's ridiculous. Like it stands out to you. Like, whoa.
Wait a minute, 50 million?
Yes.
Oh, that's
downloads.
insane.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
I don't know. You know, we'll see what kind of job we all do on this, because if any one of us suck, I think the other two should ship that motherfucker. ship them somewhere to somebody else's fucking podcast. They're outstanding people. They've been amazing to work with. You know, they've been so supportive in the development process of this vision. You know, I mean,
we got a really cool store. We got a store, the Cray store on Mercari.
We'll talk more about that at the end when we wrap it up. But basically, part of what we're doing is that our guests will be donating personal items that have a little bit of a story or a history or some value to them.
That's nice.
We'll be selling it on Mercari in our store, and the proceeds will be given toward, I believe it's Children's Hospital, LA.
Nice,
correct.
Nice.
So, you know, but yeah, they're amazing. You know, my son's 5 years old. He's growing super fast. You know, a lot of our stuff we obviously pass on to other families with younger kids. And, you know, some of the stuff you keep is keepsakes. But all those things that have value to us, I would certainly, if I was going to sell them, I would sell them via Mercari.
Gotcha. Because right now we have like a huge box of dolls. And my wife is like, what are we doing with all these dolls?
Bro, you've been holding on to those Cabbage Patch dolls since you were,
I don't want to
you were 2 years old. You should fucking sell them as an NFT, bro.
Oh, God.
We're not doing the whole NFT cryptocurrency conversations. I say that now.
Yeah.
I'll go down a list of shit that we're not going to do on the show. And I bet we do every one of those fucking things by the 8th week. I'm like, we're not talking cryptocurrency 3 weeks from now. I'm like, we have the master of cryptocurrency in here. You know, so, but yeah, of course. I think the dolls are I think that's what they're built for. You know what I mean? Mercari's like the place for things that you value to be shared with other people who will value.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, they had a dope ass Super Bowl spot.
It's like breathing new life into an item that, you know, like let's just say I mean, there's so many shoes that I'm obsessed with that I've outgrown them, and I wish I can still wear them. And I'm OCD, so I keep everything in mint condition.
I'm the same way. Yeah. Dude, don't talk about growing feet. My arches fell, so I was literally like a 7.5, and I was happy to have some.
Yo, you know what's so sick is we have Dr. John Podiatrist coming in next week. He's gonna be on the show. Dude, he can talk to you about arch support.
Yo, my feet, the arches fell, and now we're like a 8.5, 9.
Really?
Yeah.
I've always been flat-footed, man. So I wouldn't even know what it's like to be a lucky motherfucker with arches. You know what I mean? But you know what, man? Like I gave up my hopes of being a hand and foot model a long time ago.
Me too.
You know, I think we talked about the Mercari shit to death. Because even like the Mercari people are probably listening to us like, all right, stop talking about Mercari, you know? Like you sold it, don't buy it back, you know what I mean? But, you know, we get some fucking amazing guests coming on and, you know, and...
I'm super excited.
You know, for people who don't know, Sean Chase, you know, you have a hospitality background, worked with SBE, opening your own place now.
Yes.
Manage MMA fighters, do the marketing for them.
Try to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
That's what we got to do these days. You
gotta
kind of have your hand in everything. You know, Shaq made like 10% of his money from basketball, like, which is crazy to me. I'm like, the guy has a hand in everything. You know, he's just always grinding, always hustling, always looking for the next, you know, endeavor and project.
So what's your point? You don't want to have to rely on your snowboarding career anymore?
Exactly. No, snowboarding. Yeah, I want to kind of have, you know, just throw. It's like roulette, you know. Throw a bunch of chips on.
I don't know, man. Yeah, for me it was kind of like, you know, for sure. I think I definitely look for like you know, opportunities, different revenue streams. But I'm also looking for a way, especially between shows right now, to have a voice and communicate and be able to talk about ideas and sit with cool people and, you know, shed a little bit of light.
Right.
You know, I think during the, like I said, we've been talking about a podcast for a while, a bunch of different conversations. I wasn't completely sold on it. And then a friend got me.
Took me a lot of convincing.
Yeah. But then a friend got me on Clubhouse, and I started to go on Clubhouse, and I felt myself like interacting in this kind of engagement. And you'd be like, holy shit, there's 300 people in the room, 500 people in the room. Oh shit, you're talking there's 700 people. And then you start to get a little more comfortable having conversations that are live. Now, obviously, this isn't live, it's taped, and we could edit, and we could do whatever we want. But once you start to get comfortable in that format, you start to really feel the engagement, right?
Yeah.
So Doug Elling and I, we worked together on the show Entourage. Doug created it. For people who don't know, that's what I do. I'm a writer, director, producer. I did Entourage, Ballers.
He only did like
And
3 of the most popular
Yeah.
shows.
He's only
Whatever,
done like
you know,
the
that's
best shows on TV.
But I'm like, you know, I'm a behind the scenes guy, right? You know, so, you know, it's obviously it's a little bit of a transition to even be here doing a podcast. But Doug and I had hosted a room on Clubhouse that was sponsored by a company called Maven's List. They asked us to do 1 hour a week for 4 weeks. We did it, and you know, we started talking about, which was kind of like funny in a way. We were talking about panic attacks, right? How we both experienced panic attacks in our early 20s. I'm a few years older than Doug, so I had them first, you know, and I went running into the hospital. That's why I was like, I can't breathe. And his friend was in there for a hockey injury, you know, and I'm not like a lightweight guy, so those kids would think like, you know, I would walk around thinking I had like swagger, chip on my shoulder, I'm like a tough guy, and now the hockey guy's in there with the hockey injuries, like, dude, what do you mean you can't breathe? I'm like, I'm bugging the fuck out. Right? I'm like fucking like 20 years old, freaking
the guy's like
out.
half the guy's scalp is hanging off.
So I don't know what a panic attack is. I don't know shit, right? So I find out, basically, I go through therapy, and at one point I thought I was losing my mind. My psychiatrist in New York was like, do you really want to see what that looks like? And he got me a job actually doing volunteer work at South Nassau Hospital in the what is the proper way to call that ward? The psych ward.
The psych ward.
Yeah.
You know, to work in there. And I did that for a few months on Saturdays, and I was like, shit, all right, I'm not losing my mind. Like, I'm actually just going through some issues, right?
Some
you know,
change,
that I worked through. But anyway, so, and then Doug, when I made this movie Amongst Friends, when I came out, Doug had a panic attack. And, you know, he was trying to figure out his path and everything like that. I was able to tell him a little bit about it. I'm like, bro, you had a panic attack. So anyway, the point of the story is that the two of us had suffered these things, right? We're far beyond it now. I'm not saying I don't get anxiety from time to time. Everybody does.
Of course.
Depends on what you're dealing with.
We live in LA.
Yeah, we live in a crazy fucking time. The cray world, right?
The cray world.
That's
the seventh time.
It's fucking empty.
And each time I hold my breath for a split second thinking there's coffee in it, and then it just goes bloop.
Dude, I keep pushing away from the table.
It's a fucking prop, all right?
Okay.
It's just a prop. No, I drank it all, but it's going to be out of sequence as things. So people go, I don't understand. Now he's sipping the fucking thing 20 minutes ago.
Oh, there you go.
The Air One props are just...
That was not...
Even Steve's cracking up in the booth.
Like, what the fuck is going on?
Listen, man, I never said I was fucking perfect, all right?
That's
right. But what I was saying is, the world is cray. There is fucking cray. Yes. So anyway, you know, we had done this room, you know, and we talked about that stuff, and then Doug does Victory the podcast. You know, and we went on. Doug was like, you should come on and we should talk about the panic attack. So we did it, and it was amazing. Like, again, you know, we're not like fucking Dwayne Johnson talking about panic attacks. You get 750,000 responses. But we got hundreds of DMs and people writing us saying like, whoa, that really affected me. I suffer from this, and, you know, you guys shed light on certain things.
Yeah.
And there was like, you know, there was like a feeling like, whoa, that's pretty fucking cool. That was pretty cool to connect with people.
Right.
And pretty cool to actually be able to share with them. And if it really did make any change for anybody or help in any way, there's that sense that you were altruistic, right? So I would hope that we do that on this podcast, is that we take the opportunities we have with the guests that we have, even if it's just the three of us, that through all the shit talk and all the fucking funny shit about the crazy world, that we actually look for the opportunities to show a little bit of substance and depth and sophistication of thought. So.
There you go. Well said.
And I'm Rob Weiss, and I'm done. You guys can handle the guests.
There you go.
You know.
Speaking of the guests, we got some amazing guests today. Some OGs of Podcast One who agreed to sit with us today and shed some light and some knowledge on how we can get this show to be as successful, hopefully as they are. But
I think they're probably just thinking they're going to teach us how to get through it. You know what I mean? In one piece. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. Does anybody got the secret sauce to how to make a fucking couple guys? Like,
if there is a secret sauce, these three individuals have it. We got Adam Carolla, who's one of the first guys to ever do a podcast. If not,
he's OG.
If not the first, we got.
Yeah, I was on his show. I did like a 5-minute segment on the show. They they just brought me in and they asked me some questions and then they just removed.
Quick, right? They're so quick.
But I fucking love them, man. You go in there, you go, all right. That's the perfect example, at least in terms of podcasts, of a well-oiled machine.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. They're so
well-oiled. On producers and engineers.
They're so well-oiled that you're in and out like that. It's like you're like, whoa.
And I remember going there and I'm sitting in he's got a whole building. I forgot where it is, but it's in Glendale or something, a little way outside the city. And I remember going in there and they were just sick fucking vintage sports cars. And I was like, oh, this motherfucker's killing it.
Oh, yeah, he's killing it.
He's
Next level.
killing it in the pod game and in every game,
Yeah.
I was like, because I don't think Mangria's buying that shit. It could buy that shit, but I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yo, Mangria's all on shelves, man. I see that everywhere.
Oh, maybe it's doing it. I never really drank sangria, and I don't know anybody. I know a couple people in summertime that would take some sangria.
Right.
But you know who I'm excited about? I'm excited about Perez Hilton.
Yes.
We share the same birthday, so I'm all about birthdays and shit.
Yes.
So I'm super excited.
The man who single-handedly disrupt the industry with all the tabloids and stuff. He put Us Weekly and these guys in the back seat. Yeah. And it was all of a sudden you're checking. Bro, I was like 17 years old checking Perez Hilton.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow, isn't that amazing though? Because it really showed that he changed with the time concurrently with the time shift. Meaning it wasn't even like he was looking at it and he's like, oh, this is dated, let me move forward. The opportunity came to get information quicker and to share information quicker. And Perez literally was at the front of that.
And he didn't care who it was. It's not like he's like, oh, I'm going to be biased to the people. I don't like. He said, listen, I'm gonna treat everyone the same.
He treated everyone the same. Everybody on the same scale.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what I loved about him. And literally, I stopped buying Us Weeklies and OK magazines because he was just on it.
He was on it. Yeah.
If he wasn't talking about it, then it wasn't news.
If it happened, it would be on there within the hour.
Yeah. It was crazy.
It was pretty insane. Yeah. But I mean, the guest that for me personally, as a lifelong Laker fan, I'm beyond excited to be sitting down with Robert Horry, who. Big Shot Rob. I mean, to me, I would consider it the greatest game-winning buzzer beater in history was when he beat the Kings in Game 4, and that was the reason the Lakers went on to get the 3-peat. I mean, this is a guy that, to me, Staples Center has always been that bougie basketball arena where the fans are all these celebrities that are trying to be seen, and you see it. I mean, the Staples Center is not the loudest arena, and not even close, but. We got diehard Laker fans, but our diehard fans sit, they can't afford the $20,000 seats, on the floor. So, but I'll never forget that era of the 3-peat with Shaq, Kobe, Big Shot Rob. I'll never forget when Robert Horry hit that buzzer beater. And because the Kings were on their way. They were on their way after getting beat by us year after year. They were like, all right, you know what? They came to play. They were up 2-1 in the series, about to go up 3-1. And the Lakers clawed their way back. Shaq and Kobe couldn't get the final, shot in the tip-in, and Big Shot Rob. The game went. I'll never forget the way the crowd exploded and the ball boy sprinting across the court, jumping onto the mosh pit, with the Laker team. It was a surreal moment.
It's amazing that there's just there's certain people that are clutch people. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sean and I are both huge MMA fans. Sean does a lot of work with some amazing fighters, some of which will be on the show. And there's some amazing fighters who choke.
Yeah.
Right? The choke, everybody's choked at some point in their life, But, guys who can consistently show up like Horry and hit it in the fucking clinch, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it's just, you see his demeanor, he's just like, everyone else is like, oh my God. He's just like, yeah.
Yeah, because
I think those are the guys that do it. Guys who get in a kind of flow zone.
Yeah.
Where it's not, they're so out of their head, they're just kind of.
But to be able to be under that kind of pressure and still be able to perform.
But I think you got to not I mean, I think you gotta not know you're under pressure. Or you gotta
look,
just,
man. There's some guys that just are immune to it, man.
Yeah,
And Big Shot Rob is one of those guys. He's just, no matter the stakes, no matter
guys
where,
love it,
whether it's
right?
on the road, we got 20,000 people booing you, whether you're at home and you got 20,000 people cheering you. He makes it look so effortless. I remember it got to a point where he was hitting game winners so often that, like, I remember the first time, I was like, oh my God. And it got to the point where I was like, yep, that's just
that's just what it is.
You stop cheering so much. You're like, that's just the ball's in his hand in the final second. That's it. You know, it was like Kobe, you know, towards the end, where you're like, oh, that's a better chance that we have to win in this game than anyone else, you know. Wow. So
I'm excited.
All right, well, let's do it, man.
Yeah,
let's
do
get
it.
into some conversations with some of these guys. Let's dial them up, see if somebody will jump on
we
the
got
horn.
Carolla coming on right now. Let's get connected with him.
Yo, Adam, what's going on? It's Rob Weiss. How are you, man?
Oh, good to talk to you, Rob. Good. Thanks for letting me join.
Yo, I was on your show before. I don't know if you remember. I was kind of in and out very quickly. Do you remember?
No, you were here, I don't know, 2.5 months ago?
No, it was like 3 years ago. But, it was fucking awesome, man, because you know what? I didn't know shit about podcasts at the time. And I met your producer. I believe his name was Hunter, right? Was that his name, the producer you guys had? No? All right, it's going to come back to me who it was. But I met him, and he was like, yo, you should come on Carolla. I was like, all right. I pictured, like, walking into some little room with, you know, a couple people, you. And I get there, and it's like just this enormous kind of, it's like a stage with the, you know, with the sound booths and the cars, and it was like a full-on experience. So I think after that, it was always kind of in my head, like, if I did a pod, I want it to be like that, you know? But
thanks.
I mean, clearly we're not there yet. We're kind of low tech and low fi right now. We got fucking our producer Alistair standing there with a laptop, holding it, and I can't even see your face because he's got some fucking thing over the screen that he's got to fix. But you know, I wanted to ask you a couple questions. We all did because obviously this is our first episode, and you know, you're the OG of the game. Legitimately, I think you're probably the first big podcast, at least that I know. Are we too fucking late?
You know, that question, when I was talking to someone about 9 years ago with this, and he was telling me, you know, the whole podcast market, it's too saturated, it's too late, like I'm too late to the game. And that was 9 years ago. There's been a million successful podcasts since then. So it's kind of like saying you got a really killer spiked seltzer.
Right.
And you go, but there's already 10 other spiked seltzers out there. Like, am I too late to the game? And if your spiked seltzer sucks, then you're always too late to the game. Like,
right.
Even if you're first to the game.
Right.
If you have a really killer product, then you're never too late for the game. I mean, I don't care if you're selling pizzas or podcasts or booze.
Right.
You know, there's a million gins. There's a million. How many tequila brands are they?
Well, it's, you know,
exactly.
It's crazy because I actually wanted to talk to you about that. I remember I was at Seth MacFarlane's house for, not to name drop, but I'm probably going to do a lot of that on the show anyway. But I was at MacFarlane's for some birthday party, and they had your Mangria. They had it set up there. And I was like, so, you know, it's kind of interesting you say that because the tequila field is super saturated. I know a lot of people that could keep coming up with brands. And I think those brands are sort of driven by the celebrities that are behind them, right? They have like strong social media presence and they're pushing. But when it comes to the niche of like doing a sangria, which you did, is kind of relatable to podcasts because you say, what is the niche that's not filled, right? Like, so for us approaching this, we're like, what aren't people talking about? How do we find like that like nuanced kind of like piece of conversation that's, you know, that's just not being touched on? Now, obviously, I don't think we fucking discovered it yet because we're officially 30 seconds into our podcast. But, you know, I'm hopeful that, you know, it's going to come in the future. You know what I mean? But how's the Mangria doing?
It's doing great. You can go to CarollaDrinks.com if you want to check out. We got a rye whiskey there and a few other varieties as well.
Right.
You know, the thing about it is, I mean, you have to be philosophical about things, which is you should do a podcast because you want to do a podcast, like you want to work with children. You're not because you want to get rich or you're going to open a chain of child care facilities or something. You should just have a passion for something, you know? And when I did podcasting, there was no business model to it at all. And I just did it for free. And it wasn't even for free. It cost me $9,000 a month in bandwidth back then. So I was like, I was burning up all this bandwidth I had to pay for, and there was no revenue stream whatsoever. And I did a daily podcast too. I didn't do it, you know, once a week or twice a week. So I was like, I'm going to do this just because that's what I do. And if the money shows up, the money shows up. And, you know, it's trite, and it's kind of, everyone talks about it when they philosophize about life. But, you know, whether it's playing music or doing a podcast or telling jokes, like, do it because you do it. Usually you get rewarded monetarily at some point, but be philosophical. Just go, I do it because this is what I do.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was, you know, we met Norm Pettis. You obviously know Norm, you know, and we met him. I met him through Sean, and he was like, listen, you're a crazy motherfucker. Sounds like all your friends are crazy. You guys should do a show called The Crazies. And we started thinking about it, and our friends really are characters. They do interesting things in the world at different levels, different socioeconomic levels at that. And we're like, yo, it'd be kind of fun to have that. So it really did start organically, not as a business play, but just as an extension of me being in the entertainment field. And, you know, thinking that we could have fun with it and we could create fun content. Then I actually did an episode of Victory, the podcast with Doug Ellen, because obviously I was a writer, exec producer on Entourage. And we were talking about panic attacks. And we were talking about my panic attacks as a kid, Doug's panic attacks as a kid. And we were just getting like dozens, if not hundreds, of DMs from people going, thank you for shedding light on this. And then all of a sudden, the reality of potential altruism came into it. You know what I mean? So you start to go, if we could be fucking sit with our crazy friends, talk about the craziest shit that's happened to us, how fucking world, you know, is crazy, you know,
fucking nuts.
Certain parts of it.
Yeah.
You know, and we could do that and help people in some way. Great, you know.
Well, I'm here, Adam, because my wife is Jewish and she made me do it. So I didn't have that much say in the situation. And another thing, your birthday is May 27th. My daughter's birthday is May 27th, and my late mother is May 27th. So you're a Gemini, so we already in a good place.
I'm probably somewhere age-wise in between your deceased mom and your daughter. I do the math on it. Yeah. I pray your mom died older than 57. Although you can't tell with the brothers. They either go super young or super old. There doesn't seem to be an in-between there.
Yeah, because I'm 76.
It's blues singer math that I've done.
Yeah, we're crossing decades here. I'm the oldest, he's second oldest, he's the third oldest, you know, but I'm gonna still try to.
I'm third oldest. I'm the youngest.
Well, he's the youngest. The third oldest. Right. I'm just gonna try to stay young.
And there's a lot of diversity in the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
that's right.
I'm black. I converted to Judaism. You know, Rob is Jewish. You're Persian, though.
Right, that's true.
You're Persian.
Yeah.
So you know, it's like the United Benetton up in this motherfucker.
That's funny, man.
I cured Dr. Drew of a panic attack. Speaking of panic attacks,
is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a way to cure them.
Yeah, I mean, I think I honestly really do too. I have a lot of different ways that I've worked with people. I mean, I'm again like just purely just on a friendly basis, you know what I mean? But a lot of it is breathing techniques. For me, you know, it's a lot about also understanding. This is outside of hypnosis, obviously, which I think works too for some people. But I think a lot of it is understanding just at the root of anxiety. The anxiety I would have a lot of times would be driven by like caffeine consumption, you know what I mean? And just constantly just jacking myself up, and my wiring was a little bit nuts. If I walked into a place and there was flickering fluorescence, I would fucking unravel, you know, and be crazy. But I think that once you know that at the root of real anxiety are control issues, that it's your need to control something you can't control, like the fucking universe, you could diminish it a little bit. But I'd love to hear what like, you know, if you have the extra couple minutes, I'd love to hear how you did it.
We were doing Loveline on MTV a million years ago, and we used to gang tape those shows. We do like 3 or 4 shows in a day, and we just tape on Thursdays and Fridays, I think. But we'd have we'd do like 4 one-hour shows in a day, And you imagine that after working on Entourage, you know, doing an hour of content, we do an hour of content in an hour. That's like how it broke down. And I was the host and Drew's the co-host, or we co-host the show together. And I think Jon Favreau came on like show 2, gave Drew a hard time. And for some reason, when we're starting show 3, I was like, "Where's Dr. Drew?" And he's like, he's in his dressing room. And I showed up to his dressing room, and he was like breathing into a paper bag.
I've done that
and
before.
There was a little crowd around him. And I said, "What's going on here?" And he said, "He's having a panic attack." So I'm from North Hollywood. I worked construction my whole life. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a panic attack.
Well, you're not Jewish.
I thought it was made up. Yeah, my friends would have beat the shit out of you if you told me you're having a panic attack. So I just looked at Drew and I go, "We got 2 more shows to do. We got 2 more hour-long shows to tape today." And everyone looked at me and went, "Well, he's having a panic attack." I just said, "Drew, get your ass out of this fucking dressing room. Go to the stage, sit in your chair, and have your fucking panic attack on your chair. I'll do all the talking. I'll interview the guests. We're going to start this show. I don't want to get it all backed up. It's Friday. The weekend's coming up. I worked all week. Get your ass up. Go sit in that chair. We'll start the show. If you're having a panic attack, you're having a panic attack. I do all the talking anyway. So get up there and let's go." And he just got up and sat in the chair. And I said, "Start rolling. Here we go." And we just started, and his panic attack just went away.
Yeah, you know what? That's it.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's it. There's only 2 forms of ways to deal, man, and that's just, you know, enabling. Well, I'm not gonna say enabling. I would say like extreme nurturing, which could borderline enabling, and then tough love. I'm a tough love guy also. You know, I come from a long lineage of tough love people, so you know that's the same fucking way I would have done it.
Speaking of which, Adam, tell us about your book, your latest book, Emotional Support Animal, Navigating Our All Woke, No Joke Culture.
Sean didn't just read that off his phone.
No,
You can tell by the way it rolled off his tongue.
that title in my head.
Made it sound so natural.
I wrote the book, came out about a year ago. I wrote it about a year and a half ago, and I just started looking around at all the wokesters out there and how, you know, everyone was getting canceled and cancel culture and comedians who are scared to tell jokes. And I just said, this is bullshit. So I'm just going to write a book that would basically get me canceled. And I did. And you know, the thing that's kind of interesting about books is if you say things into a microphone, you can get canceled. And nowadays, you say stuff up on stage, you can get canceled. But when you write a book, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, because nobody fucking reads them.
That's right.
Nobody reads books. Maybe with Audibles, you get canceled. But the reality is, you can't really get canceled because you create content. You bring it to your audience. What people need to understand is that what happens is the trollers make the decision to cancel, right? It's a new form of bully culture. Let's bully people that we think are powerful enough to bully us. They gang up, corporations panic, and the corporations just make you persona non grata, cancellation, effective, you know what I mean? If you are creating content that you deliver to your audience, then they can't fucking cancel you, you know? I mean, listen, I mean, theoretically, you know, you could be canceled off the planet, but, you know, I mean, it's like anything could happen. But, you know, I think that, you know, you have a very loyal audience and you do great stuff and make great content. And, you know, we're grateful that you joined us for a couple minutes, man. And
look,
any parting advice,
If you want to be the host of The Bachelorette, you can get canceled.
Right, exactly.
If you want to be a stand-up comedian, you want to create content, you want to be an author, you want to be a painter, it's hard to cancel that, you know?
Right.
So show business has gigs, and if you get that gig hosting a game show, then you can easily be canceled.
Right.
But if you create your own show and you create your own content and you sort of build, you know, if it's a sort of element like when you're a kid, like I got to play, it's my ball.
Right.
You know, go find your ball.
Right.
Essentially. So
yeah, I
always
mean,
get to
you
play.
know, I mean, we're gonna jump in a minute. We know you had limited amount of time, but you know, when Louis C.K. got canceled, you know, I was like, that is, out of all the people that have been canceled, that's the guy who can make it back. Oh, why do you think he can make it back?
Sure.
I go, because he's a comedian. He gets up on a stage. His fans either show up or they don't show up. That is the ultimate sign of being canceled, is the loss of all of your support, right? A loss of your audience. But he did a show and they showed up.
They tried to cancel Chick-fil-A, but Chick-fil-A makes a killer chicken sandwich.
That's what everybody says. I don't eat it, but everybody says, yo. I was with two friends talking about that the other day. They love it.
I had some today.
Chick-fil-A made a shitty chicken sandwich, then you could cancel.
Right, exactly.
There you go.
So be good at your job and maybe keep your mouth shut, and you know, we'll get through this. Adam, thank you so much, man. We'd love to see you again in the future. Thanks for coming on,
My
coming
pleasure.
on our show.
Anytime, guys. Best
Appreciate
of luck.
you.
Awesome,
Thanks,
brother.
Adam. Thanks for
Thank you
hanging
so
out with
much.
us.
Man.
Thank you.
guys.
All right.
Yo, Perez, what's going on, man? I'm
Hello.
Rob Weiss. Nice to meet you.
Sean Chase.
O'Neal McKnight. We share the same birthday, March 23rd, by the way.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, Aries.
I thought you just said you had the same birthday as Adam Carolla.
No, Adam
said
Carolla
his
has the same
daughter and
birthday
his
as
late
my
mother.
daughter and my late mother. Yeah, Perez and I
that's
have the
dope.
same. We have the same birthday, March 23rd. We're Aries.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yo, Perez, man, I've been a fan of yours for a long time. You know, I'm not a big gossip column like reader, that kind of audience, but I always liked your persona back in the day.
Thank you.
We launched Entourage right around the time that you started doing your blog, right around, let's say, early 2000s. And I remember how you were shifting the game.
Yep.
And I mean, we want to talk to you obviously about the podcast, but I want to talk a little bit about your past also. But I remember, prior to you, it was super Us Magazine, and it was all the tabloids.
Yep.
And how all the young PR girls, like I was super tight with Lizzie Grubman, was one of my best friends, and I know you know Lizzie and that whole crew, and like they were like how it was all constructed. Then you started this whole blogger movement where people were able to come in with information that was super immediate, and it just changed the game. Because I dated a celebrity in my 20s, and I remember like we'd be online at the I lived with Shannon Doherty between 90210 till Charmed. But I remember I'd be in the supermarket with her, and we'd get Us Magazine, we'd see what was in there. But when you exploded, everything was just right there on the internet, almost in immediate time.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it was pretty incredible, I mean, I'd like to know how you were able to transition from that period into the new period of podcasting. I've listened to your pod, and how has that changed?
Well, the podcast is a different beast because, with my website, which I still do, and with social media, it's all about being as even more immediate. Like it's about as quick as possible, which can be overwhelming all the time and exhausting. But what I love about podcasting is I compare it to like drinking wine. You savor it. You go into the meat and potatoes of it all, and the viewers and listeners of podcasts expect that. So it's an experience unlike any other. And also, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for me to connect with the people that have been supporting me for 17 years, so they can hear me or see me and really get to know me.
Right. So what you're saying is we should get into every fucking detail, man. You know what I mean? Like,
you don't have to,
but I'm saying that is kind of the value, is the opportunity to communicate things on, like, hit the macro, but get super micro on it. You know what I mean? I don't consume wine like you. I don't drink anymore, but when I consume wine, I didn't really savor it. I just drank the shit, bro. I'm like blowing through like 2 bottles, But I understand how to savor a nuance of something.
If we were on a TV show, if we were all on The Talk or The View, you're lucky if you get a 5-minute segment or a 7-minute segment. So you have to cram everything in there, especially because there's multiple hosts and they have to ask their questions. But on a podcast, on my show this week, my co-host used to date Jennifer Lopez's sister back in the day, and he was sharing this awesome story about going gambling with Ben Affleck back in the day.
Oh, man, I think I listened to part of it, man. Who is it? It's a comedian, right?
He's a radio legend. His name is Chris Booker.
Right. I listened to some of it yesterday, man, the whole J-Lo thing. And I was kind of
I was just riveted. Like, I usually am not the kind to just be silent, but I was just saying nothing. And I'm like, tell me more. I want to hear more.
It was funny, man. It was funny.
Yeah,
the parts I heard,
fun and fabulous about podcasting for me.
Right.
And also, you know, it's a show. You know, it's entertainment in a different way.
Yeah.
Got you.
And not everybody can do it. You know,
Right.
that's why most podcasts, first of all, don't make money.
Right.
And most podcasts suck.
Right.
And most podcasts don't last very long.
Right.
I've been doing mine for 6 years.
So what you're just saying is I shouldn't get comfortable in the seat. Is what you're saying.
Well, I would
You know,
say
before the electric gets turned off. Yeah.
I would say the best way to ensure your success is to make sure you're having fun or faking it.
100%.
It's not really faking it, but like really have fun.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
For me, it's even more than fun. You know, like life for most of us is hard.
Yes.
I'm a single father of 3 young children.
I saw that. That's amazing. Like,
you know, that's a lot doing it by myself with
yeah.
help. My mother helps me and I have
Right.
nannies, but it's still a lot.
Right.
And I now view the podcast as an escape also.
Right. Oh,
Not only is it fun, but it's an escape and it's something that I deeply look forward to every single week. So if you guys view this like that and not just a job or like, do I really have to do this?
Yeah.
Like it should be fun and it should be just like a really wonderful, magical time.
I think
if it is that, your viewers and listeners will feel that.
So Perez, why do you think you've lasted this long? Because, you know, like I said,
Because I'm crazy.
you belong on this fucking show to Craig, man.
I just made a video, you know, like because I'm crazy in terms of I really think this is true. I do not believe that most people would be willing to do all of the things that I do every day. I have like an unhealthy work ethic.
Have you always been like that? Like, have you been like that from the get-go, or did it just...
No, it's the opposite of how I was growing up. I sort of coasted all the way through
I know that
middle
feeling.
school, high school,
same here.
college, meaning I put in minimal effort and would get A's.
I'm the same way. You're a true Aries, dude.
You
My
know what?
my classmates hated me because I was a kid out partying, doing all that shit, but still would make a B plus or A minus.
Yo, it's so ironic you guys are saying that because I put in minimal effort and I was a D minus.
Yeah, I was just about to say I put minimal effort and got the exact opposite.
But I'm proud.
results,
But I'm proud to say I must be an overachiever in life. Then you know what I mean.
So
yeah, and I would wait until like literally midnight, the morning a paper was due.
it's study or writing.
it.
Yeah, I was the same.
Yeah.
I was the exact same
But,
way.
but then now as an adult, I'm the opposite of that to an extreme. And I think what it was for me is, you know, I was lucky to grow up very, very middle class, not upper middle class, not poor either, but middle class. And then when I started to achieve a little bit of success, it was like a drug.
Yeah, you want
And
more.
I'm like, oh my God, I need more of this.
Right.
And the only way that I could think of to get more of it was to work insanely hard to try to get more.
Right.
So when did it become real for you? Like as a blogger, what was that thing that happened and you said, hold on for a second, I could really do this shit for real?
I think it really became real maybe 3 years into me blogging, because at that point things had gotten so big that I was in need of help. And I reached out to my mom and my sister and I said, hey, how do you guys feel if you move from Miami and move to Los Angeles and you guys work with me? And when I was able to turn my little hobby into something that not only supported me, but also supported my family,
Right.
that's when it became real.
Yep.
And that's also when I started to work even harder, because it's like the pressure starts to mount, the responsibilities, all of these people depending on me.
Yeah.
Now I've got my mom and sister and 3 kids. That's 5 people who depend on
Right.
me.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a lot.
Well, you were crushing it, man. I
Yeah,
actually
man.
saw it. I'm gonna ask you a question about it as well. But I saw that you were doing like 50,000 a week back like 15 years ago. So that is really, you start to get a little bit accustomed to a lifestyle and generating that income.
Yeah.
And then you see other people like Just Jared, other people coming around they're kind of trying to take a bite out of that. What's amazing is a lot of people don't know how to transition and evolve, and you did that. You found a way to stay relevant and to change the game a little bit, right? So, you know, you have to reinvent yourself. And then you...
And I'm constantly reinventing myself.
Right, but I'm saying even look at the way you look, man. You look... I'm not saying you weren't a good-looking cat back in the day, but you're lean as shit right now. I can't believe it, man. You know.
I think I look like a hot mess right now, but...
but, you know, it's a good look for you, man. You look healthy, you know.
Thank you. I grew up in the 80s, a closeted gay boy in Miami, obsessed with Madonna.
Right.
So, you know, like that incredible work ethic, I thank my parents for that, and Madonna, because I grew up listening to Madonna saying, I'm not the prettiest, I'm not the best dancer, I'm not the best singer, but I work harder than everybody else.
Yeah.
And I made that my mantra.
Right.
And, you know, she also was the queen of reinvention.
Yeah.
And I made that my mantra as well from the very beginning of my career, whether it just be like changing my hair color all the time back in the day to, you know, acting as well, to releasing books, to, you know, another great inspiration of mine is the late, great Joan Rivers, who did everything.
Yes,
and I think, you know, I released a memoir last year, and in that book, I talk about a lot of the mistakes that I made in my past in those early years.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, actually, because I watched, in just checking you out prior to this, I saw this interview with you and Tamron Hall. And I was like, man, you know what? And that was like 3 or 4 years ago, and it was prior to a lot of what's going on in, I believe it was like at least 3 years ago, right? That was prior to
it was last year.
It was only last year? Okay, because I thought it would like preceded a lot of like the kind of cancel culture, woke, you know, movement stuff. And I felt like it was, you know, on top of being a mea culpa, but I thought it was an amazing kind of, the way you articulated how much more self-aware you are now than then really spoke to me, because we all fucking graduate. Everybody graduates with chapters.
Not everybody.
No, but yeah, it's true. But even if you die, even if you maybe recede a little bit in certain areas, there's something to be learned. But your point taken. Not everybody looks at what's going on and learns from it. But clearly, you have. I have. I've done a million clubhouse rooms where people fire questions at me and Doug Ellen about have you made Entourage in the boys club, yada, yada, yada. I think that world still exists out there with kids. You're not going to change the way fucking 20-year-olds are. But that's whatever, you know, maybe a little bit. Maybe they'll be a little bit different. But I just thought that was incredible, the way you spoke about it. So, you know, I didn't want to cut you off mid-thought. You obviously going to continue on that by saying that there is a redemptive kind of, you know.
I would hope so. I mean, this is one of the things that I talk about in therapy all the time with my therapist. You know, like, I know that I've changed. I know I'm a different person. And despite that, it's my perception, and it might not be the truth, but I think it is. The overwhelming majority of people don't want to let me grow and evolve and be this new iteration of myself. They want to keep me.
I believe that. I don't think it's paranoia.
Yeah,
I think that
they want to keep me in this box, kind of like a jail cell.
Of course, because they're sending you out to do their fucking dirty work, right? I mean, like, they sit home with Schadenfreude. They want to see you out people, put people on blast, you know, rip people, and they sit home and enjoy it, but it's just not who you want to be anymore as a human being. And I imagine a lot of that transformation was inspired by the fact that you have children. I mean, I think it changed me. I have a 5-year-old son. I know what it did to me. So
even before that, you know, it was also getting healthier and, you know, finding a direct correlation between the healthier I became, the happier I became. And that's not to say that I was miserable. And that's how I first started to view it. And only now, in the last 7 months of really getting into therapy, did I realize I've also had to begin to heal. And like, oh God, now it sounds so stupid, but it's true. Like, you know, I suffered severe trauma when I was young. Both my dad and my grandfather, who lived with me, they both died a week apart when I was just 15 years old. My grandfather is still really traumatic because he lived with me. He was more than just a grandfather. And my dad, even more so, because that was unexpected. He had an aneurysm. And only in the last 7 months have I started to realize that so much of what I did in my past was me lashing out at the world, at what I perceived were injustices.
Right.
Like, and it was my place to wield the sword and fight and cut people down if they were pricks or whatever it was. And I'm like, no, that's not your place. You don't have to do that. Like, like everybody, and we don't really even know what other people are going through. Like, I definitely, you know, like, I did an interview for our documentary a couple of weeks ago, and it hasn't come out yet. For, you know, there's a ton of documentaries being made now about the early 2000s and about people during that era.
Yeah.
And I slipped up for a second, and I referred to somebody as a hot mess. And I don't even use that term anymore because, you know, instead of saying that, I now say, now that person was really struggling. That person was dealing with a lot of things.
Yeah,
and it's true, you know, just trying to be more compassionate and understanding.
Exactly.
And
Wow. You've been through it all, man. I mean, they told us today that you got a, you know, memoir coming out, TMI, My Life in Scandal, and I was like, oh, that's perfect.
It's out.
Perez, oh, it's out, right? And I was like, it's perfect because Perez has been through it all, you know. And I'm, you know, tell us more about TMI.
I love it, and you can also get the audio version if you're, you know,
you're not a
busy
reader.
parent.
Yeah.
if you want to listen to it in your car, it's like an extended podcast, and I'm really proud of it because I worked really hard on it, and people really have been receptive. And what I think was most surprising was I almost didn't even want to include any of my early life. You know, like my dad's death and growing up closeted in Miami and the child of immigrants and all of that stuff, because I thought that would be boring. You know, I was like, let's just start in 2004 when I begin my career. And, you know, my publisher insisted. They're like, no, this is important. So I put it in there, and people loved that, perhaps even the most, maybe because it's the most relatable, universal, like, you know, story that I shared about, you know, how my mother made me cry because she didn't like a gift that I gave her. Like, sometimes people relate to those things. And so I think there's something for everybody there.
Check out Alice. Sorry, Perez. Our producer's holding his fucking laptop. His fingers just went numb, man. He took his hand off. He started doing this with his hands. It's all shaky. This is great video work, Alistair. This guy's his arms went numb. Hey, man, a couple quick questions, and then we're gonna let you go. We know you're busy, but old Hollywood or new Hollywood? And when I say old Hollywood, I'm talking 2000 versus now. Obviously, I know which one was better for the kind of, you know, the creation of conversation. But what do you think? You like the evolution? What do you miss about the way it was 20 years ago versus the way it is today, if anything at all? Or do you just think it's absolutely perfect right now, the landscape?
I'm gonna go with new Hollywood only because I'm not one of those people that is afraid of or upset by change.
Right.
Gotcha.
I embrace it, and you need to,
right.
or else you're going to become irrelevant.
Yeah.
Right.
I loved, you know, the golden era of gossip, as I called it, before I started talking about all of these influencers. Now I talk about stupid Jake Paul or stupid Logan Paul and all these stupid people. And I do it, but I'm happy to do it because, you know, they're like the new reality TV star. You know, back in the day when I first started, it was all about the cast of The Hills or all about the cast of Jersey Shore. I mean, the Hills crew for about 2 years, they were on the cover of Us Weekly and People every single week.
Absolutely.
And now it's just the influencers that have taken over that because they're more willing to play the part.
But they give you a shit ton of content, man. They give you a lot. They give you a lot to unpack. You know.
I mean, what I do miss, you know, I just made a video today. I do it all. So I have my podcast, my website, social media. I have 2 YouTube channels. So I uploaded a video today for my family YouTube channel where I constantly am on the verge of quitting,
Right.
of like just having a breakdown, a meltdown, because I still work so hard.
You'll never quit. You're
Never.
one of those guys, I can tell, man.
I know, I love what I do,
Yeah.
but here's what I was going to get at. The thing that I missed the most were, like, I hate that Instagram has a swipe up.
Right.
Because that takes so much time. Like, I can very quickly and easily tweet a link out to a story of mine on Twitter or post a link on Facebook, but going through those steps to promote content on Instagram, that takes so much
Right.
time.
I haven't done it yet. I gotta try it, man.
it takes
You
a lot
did
of
a
time.
swipe
I
up
love-
today. I
yeah,
don't know how
yeah.
to fucking do that.
I love creating content. I
Yeah.
love sharing. I love entertaining people.
Yeah.
But I this might shock people, but I hate promotion. I hate. And
Yeah,
that's
I don't know how
part
to
of
do
it.
that shit either. But I love, like, I direct, so I love setting shots. All I really use is my IG story. Everything else I don't know how to fucking use. But I guess I'm gonna learn if we're gonna get this out to the
Yeah, you
world.
got
somehow or another, you know.
So I got
Hey.
I got a
I'm
quick
a-
question before we go.
I'm wait, I gotta. So
Go ahead.
you know, there's this new trend of like bringing back old shows. Are there any talks of doing an Entourage reboot?
Yeah, you know, it's been
would be
like
dope.
that's been the biggest conversation now. Not the biggest conversation in the world, but at least internally on our end.
Yes, yeah.
It's been a huge conversation since Clubhouse, right? And then Doug and Kevin Dillon and Kevin Connolly started Victory the podcast, right? And like people would be like, "Oh, bring the show back, bring the
dope.
show back." Here's my thoughts on it. I don't think it's ever gonna fucking happen. But like that's my opinion on it. I think Adrian's been pretty vocal that he doesn't want to do it. He hasn't even done the podcast, which the guy's
He's in Texas now.
right. He's in Texas. He's not interested in doing it. So I guess there is some universe in which Vince could have died, but you kind of like. Now you're like, what? Now you got 3 guys who can't get dinner reservations.
Yeah,
exactly.
What's the fucking
angle
show,
gonna be?
right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but I love all the actors on that. I think, like, you know, maybe down the road there's some kind of little reunion thing, but
I could
but
see
the
that.
reality
That I
is,
could
man,
see.
you know, I'm super proud of Entourage, obviously, and it really changed my life. Like, I was a young filmmaker who did well. I felt like I was persona non grata and like I wasn't getting opportunities after being super hot. And Entourage brought my career back. So I'll always be grateful to Doug and Lev and Mark and everybody, you know, that I was involved with in doing that show. But I also think it's, you know, it's kind of in the past. If we did it, it would it would reflect today's world. You know, it's just it's a different, I don't know, maybe.
We gotta
but it
find
also
a way
wasn't
to
as big as Friends either. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
we
Friends
gotta
was
find
like,
a way to work together because I'm trying to do more acting.
Fuck yeah,
Oh,
man.
there we go.
So
Yeah.
we never had you on the show? I was just thinking
No.
that's fucking weird, man. I was looking at it like, why
upsetting
wasn't this
to
guy
me.
ever on the fucking show? That's weird, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe somebody was mad at you. I don't know. It wasn't me. So what the fuck
Probably.
do I know?
I think it might have been Jeremy Piven.
Right, maybe. It might have been. You know, it might have been. Fuck that guy. So who knows?
You never know. You never know.
You know, yo, Perez, thank you so much. Stay well, man.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You
Awesome,
Appreciate
brother.
you, man.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, man.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Alistair, you can put your arms down.
Yo, you got your workout. You're gonna wake up with some biceps tomorrow, Alistair.
Hey, y'all good?
Hey, there he is, Big Shot Rob.
Yeah.
How you doing, Robert? Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us today. Sean Chase.
No,
Rob Weiss.
no worries,
O'Neal
man.
McKnight.
You been working out, Robert? You're looking good, man. You're looking, you know, little buff there. What's going on?
I'm working out, but I'm not. The funny thing about that is I'm not lifting anything heavy anymore.
Really?
I heard that.
Yo,
I'm just trying to stay fit, man. I'm just trying to stay in the gym and do what I can to try to not look like Barkley.
yeah,
There you
that's
go.
awesome.
Oh,
There you
Yo,
go.
did you hit 50, right? Are you 50 now?
Yeah, I'm 50. I'll be 51 this year. I'll be 51 in August.
Yeah, I hit 52, man. You're right. You're right on target, bro. It's the light weights, you know, or the moderate weights, but you got to do like the few days of weights, a little bit of MMA and light cardio. I heard light.
That's a
I
lot of
heard.
shit.
Yeah, but you got to go light. I heard like.
Get hit, man.
I heard if you do too much cardio as you get older, and I don't know the veracity of it, but I heard if you do too much cardio as a man as you get older, you create more estrogen in yourself.
Really?
Really?
I've never heard
That's
that
why I
before.
just see like these dudes who are chubby running an Equinox, and they just keep running and running and running, and they just keep getting like, you know. I don't know.
Interesting.
They're not getting skinnier.
We'll have to get one of the sports doctors to concur that.
No, right?
That's funny. So I mean, how often do you get stopped? You know, when you're out and about and people are like, "Hey, Big Shot Rob, the most clutch, game-winning player of all time." I mean, it's.
I don't get stopped that much, due to the mask. So
I've been the last year. Yeah.
So all you seeing is this right here. So not many people know who I am. But it's before the pandemic hit, and the only time I would get noticed when I go to Vegas, and that's when I wanted to get noticed so I can get free drinks.
Yeah, there you go. That's funny. That's funny.
It's weird now. A lot of kids are starting to recognize it. It's just the adults. And little kid in the neighborhood is riding his bike. He almost fails. Like, hey, you're Big Shot Bob.
Yeah.
Oh man, you live in the neighborhood? I didn't know that. I'm like, wow. So now every time I see him, he throws his hand up, and every day I see him, he's with a different friend. So he's bringing one by.
Yeah, he's bragging about it. He's the coolest kid in the block now because he's got everyone coming over to me. That's funny. Who coined the nickname Big Shot? Was it Shaq?
No,
it's got to be law.
It happened.
It's on Rockets, right? Yeah.
It was Craig Kilborn who actually.
Craig Kilmore, okay.
He did it one game, and it was like Big Shot Bob, and it just went from there.
That's funny.
Yo, it's pretty sick to have
around, right? And then next thing you know, that became my name, like Big Shot.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. How were you always able?
When you get a nickname that's not anointed by yourself, someone
gives
you the big
name. Yeah, exactly. I'm happy it's a good one.
I know a lot of motherfuckers who nickname themselves, man.
Really?
And I got friends who talk about themselves in the third person, and those motherfuckers.
Oh, we have a friend that does that.
They know exactly who they are, man.
Absolutely. Listen.
They'll be like, so and so don't do that.
Hey, listen, I'm from South Carolina, so half of my cousins gave themselves nicknames.
Really?
Oh yeah. Shorty Wop, Shorty Low, everything. Little baby, 35 years old, still calls up baby, little man. My nickname is Man. My grandmother called me Man because I wore a big belt. My belt was too big for me, so my nickname is Man. So I understand.
I just think it's funny when like older motherfuckers add an IE on their name, man. Because I was out to dinner. I was out to dinner with some newscaster talking some bullshit years ago, and some dude came up from my neighborhood and he's like, "Hi, I'm Stevie." And the guy looked at him, the newscaster, and said, "What are you, like fucking a 45-year-old Stevie? Are you fucking serious?" And I don't know. I think that shit's funny, man. But I was gonna stick with Rob, and I got the same name as you, bro. I'm just gonna keep it real fucking.
Yeah, we got two Robs. There we go.
Two Robs.
If I had a chance to go back, like precinct, because I made a movie, man. I made an indie when I was in my early 20s. And it was before the fucking internet. But had I known there were going to be all these Rob Weiss motherfuckers popping out there, like this sex expert Rob Weiss, the president of the Fuse channel Rob Weiss. Had I known that, I would have been Rob with like 3 B's, or I would have been Weiss with like 4 S's, you know what I mean? And they'd be like, no, it's Rob with 3 B's, you know?
It's Rob.
Yeah, it'd be Rob, some bullshit like that, you know? Yo, I think the difference is when you said like people recognize you, the crazy thing, that makes you so different is that you are a hero in 3 different teams, man. You got championships with 3 different teams. So those are 3 different cities you could fucking live in and be a god. You know what I mean?
And it's not even like how it is nowadays.
The average person,
and like nowadays, you got guys like ring chasing. Like they'll win championships, but Rob was like a major figure in those 3 teams winning those championships.
Absolutely.
There's no one's ever been able to do it, even come close to replicating it. I mean, you got LeBron. He's won with 3 teams, but like that's the only other guy I can think of. I mean, it's. Have you always been?
LeBron won with the Heat?
Yeah, he won with the Heat.
Yeah, he won.
That's pretty sick, man.
There's 4 guys that have on 3 different teams. John Sally was actually the first guy to do it. He had the Bad Boys, then he went to the Bulls, and he went with the Lakers. But I tell him all the time, yours don't count because you didn't play when we was with us.
Yeah, he did it. I remember. I was young. My dad, we watched games, me, my dad, and my brother. But I remember. Sally, he was a fan favorite, but he wasn't getting many minutes at that point. I remember that.
Danny Green also. Now he has the Spurs.
Danny Green, that's right.
Yeah, Toronto.
I had my thoughts on how much he contributed last year, but yeah.
What do you think, man? Yeah. The NBA is growing and growing and growing, man. When I was a kid, it wasn't nearly, obviously, as close to popular as it is now.
Yeah.
The culture of it. has exploded. Where do you think it's going, and what is the difference of where you think it came from in terms of how it seems to affect culture so much?
It's crazy. NBA at one point it affected, fashion, the way you wore your hair, tattoos. You know, everybody was like, "Oh, Allen Iverson with the tattoos." No, it was like Dennis Rodman would come with the tattoos.
Right.
I fucking love Rodman.
Yeah.
When everybody started rocking the headbands, it's called a Portland. That's when Portland was winning. The whole team was wearing headbands.
Yep.
And I don't know if this is true or not, but there's a story that the guys who wore headbands were the guys who smoked weed, and that's why they wore headbands. And so there's so many things that happen. You think about with the baggy shorts, the MJ, because he wanted to hide his North Carolina shorts. And, it's so many fashion things that started with the NBA. And for me, I was just happy to be a part of it because that's an elite group. It's only, when I played, it was only 12 guys.
Right,
it was 12 guys on the team. Now you got 15, and
you got G leagues, and they got like minor league teams that they keep up and down. It's crazy.
Yeah, the NBA was a trendsetter, and I think why is because we're the only sport where you can get up close and personal with the player. Think about it. You got courtside seats.
Right.
There's no courtside seats in football or baseball. And think about it. The closest you can get is hockey, but you still have a screen between you and the players, and that's the closest sport you can think about.
Right.
So we were just one of those. I think that's why we were that trend-setting sport, because people could really relate to. They could see us grunting on the court. They could see us cussing on the court. They could see us fighting on the court. There's so many things you can see and you can reach out and touch. But the game has changed a lot. It went from a rough and tough game to a smooth and silky game, and I think the game is just going to keep evolving.
Right.
But I will say this: I am so happy that the rules committee is going to look at these fouls that all these guys are getting, because that's just getting ridiculous.
Me too. Yeah, it's gotten out of control. Yeah, I mean, it's.
I was looking at the foul that Trae Young. I
don't want to say Trae Young. I was going to say there's one guy in particular that's really leading that charge
in front of Trae Young, but Trae Young still jumped into
backwards. It makes no sense.
That is the worst thing, and that's the thing about basketball, that these guys, they're so freaking talented.
They are. They're creative, and I feel like Harden's one of the guys that started that. He started coming with these creative loophole moves and then he'd be like, "Yo, don't blame me. Like, I'm just being creative and I'm evolving the game."
It was this one guy, Deadlift Shrimp.
Right. Seattle.
He would get me all the time where he would duck under and put his arm straight out and go through your arm.
Yeah.
For me, he was the first person I came across that did that, but he only did that when he was in the paint. He couldn't do that on the perimeter because that was your space. And now they're taking the defender's space away where, you can't even put your arms out. Now, if you go through my arms, I'm like, hold on. When did I lose my space? When do I lose my area? And now, you don't have that area. And that's why, there's so many points now being scored, and guys are afraid to play defense. Now you see guys, as soon as they start guarding, they throw their hands
up,
back. Like, I don't want that. And it's given. And now all these guys are scoring all these points, and they're happy about it. I'm like, man, come on.
And the thing that bothers me is they're breaking like scoring records, and I'm like, the game is not that. It's easier to score 50 today than it ever was. And I mean, I remember last year, like Jamal Murray.
Baseball, man. They showed the fucking
10
field and they changed the ball.
And only made 2. Man, we would have looked at you like you was crazy. Like, what the hell's wrong with you shooting? Exactly. Now guys will shoot 3 for 10 and think they're fucking good. I'm like, are you serious? Dude, that sucks, man. This ain't baseball.
Exactly.
300 is good, and that ain't good in baseball. But and that's
you'll
just
see
how
a fast
is,
break. The guy pulls up and shoots a 3. There's no one in front of him. I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, but the thing I like about it though is now the NBA is allowing these guys to be themselves. When I played, you can even have a shoe with 3 or 4 different colors, and you had to have 2 different colors, and that was it. Now guys get to wear different shoes, which is great for the shoe companies, and it's great for the guys that have their own individual shoes. Think about it. Jordan got fined for having black and red shoes with no white in it. I'm like, are you serious? And you had to have white in it. Yeah. And David Stern was really strict about it. But I like Adam Silver.
Adam Silver has been the greatest thing to happen to the league. Yeah, amazing. I mean, he cares about the players. He's a player first mentality, and I think the league. I mean, I was a little opposed for the season starting, so I knew that we were going to be in this predicament right now where all the superstars are injured, and But it is what it is. But hopefully, I heard next season it's going to be back on track for the the way it was.
But
before,
my whole thing is, you think about it. This right now is when basketball is supposed to end in June.
Exactly.
It's supposed to end in June. Think about it. I just saw where I think it was 27 years ago with the OJ chase.
Wow.
Was it? Yeah,
Wow,
and that was started was the day, and that's when I won my first
that
championship.
was not the championship.
That's
yeah.
nuts.
Yeah,
They
it's the Knicks.
interrupted
I
it,
remember
right?
walking in the locker room at halftime, and you had a little. We didn't have all this sophisticated stuff.
Yeah.
You had a little TV in the corner, and we walking by. I'm looking like, is that OJ's Bronco? And then you got the chase going on, and we sitting in the locker room looking at the TV, and Rudy comes in and turn the TV. All right, get focused. We got to watch that. And we all looking at the OJ chase.
Wow.
That was 27 years ago.
I can't believe it, man. That's nuts.
Yeah.
I was in New York visiting a friend. That's fucking nuts. I still remember that night.
The game has changed. The game is still fun, though. I love
It is
to watch.
fun. Yeah, me too. I'm a diehard fan.
So all the commentating, you doing the pod, like when you're, I did a show Ballers, a big part of it, a big component thematically is about life after professional sports, right? Like the transition. When you're winding down the career, 2 questions in 9 parts. Just kidding. Yo, like, do you know you're winding down the career, or are other people telling you you're winding down the career? And at what point do you start thinking about the future? Do you start saying to yourself, like, I got a lot of gas left in my tank, I got a lot left I want to say, and
Rob was still winning championships down at the very end. So I think with him, he was just like, he went to like the Mayweather route. He's like, yo, I'm tired of whooping all you guys every year. I'm gonna hang it up, give someone else a chance.
But it is like, sometimes it's the details of the contract negotiations and different things that make people go like, this isn't exactly what I want, or this isn't, the way I want the future to look. So
for me, I knew, like, I signed one more deal with the Spurs, and after we won the championship in 2007, I was like, man, do I really want to keep playing? And then 2008 hit, and we were playing, and I was like, oh shit, I still got the love for it. And as the season went on, I started getting all these, the nips, did not play. And I think for me, my body just started saying, we can't do this start and stop stuff.
Right.
It's not you. You got to continue to play. And for me, I used to go and tell Popman, yo, let me play. I'm fine. No, you need to rest. You need to rest. I'm like, no, I don't. I will tell you when I need to rest.
Right.
Don't tell me what my body needs. And for me, my body got all out of whack. It didn't know what it was coming or going.
Gotcha.
And when we got in the playoffs, and then I started getting did not plays in the playoffs, right when I was about to break the record for the most playoff games, I lost my love for the game, man. I was like, I don't want to do this way. I'm sitting on the bench. It's not me. I'm not going to just sit up and just draw a check and be here. I got to be participating.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also I had other things going on in my world with my daughter being really sick, and you had these things pulling at you where, I made a lot of money. I made some good investments. Do I really need this?
Right.
Do I really want to do this? I don't want to be somewhere on the road and I don't get home and I don't, I'm not there for my daughter. So for me, I just say, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah.
I could have played probably, 2 more years if I wanted to. Physically. I could have been on someone's team, been an ML car, waving my flag and being that inspirational voice in the locker room. But that just wasn't me.
Right.
And so, and for me, after I retired, I was happy I did, because so many, I was there for my daughter when she had to go into the hospital for a long period of time. I was able to be there every day, not worrying about, okay, am I going to keep my job?
Right.
And on the lighter side of that, I got to see my son score his first touchdown in football.
Amazing.
I got to, and the biggest thing, I got to see him make his game-winning shot in a game.
Yeah, there we go.
He ran to me, said, I did it just like you, Dad. And it brought tears to my eyes.
Wow.
There are moments like that people don't understand. As a basketball player, you've gone so much.
Right.
And it ain't the same seeing that shit, via FaceTime or your wife or your significant other records and you miss it. You need to be there live. And I was able to see this stuff live, and it made me realize, like, damn, I was missing out a lot.
Right.
When I was being on the road, and because my family didn't live with me because of my daughter's condition, they had to stay in Houston because all her doctors were there.
Right.
And so for me, I missed a lot of moments in my children's life, and it and it hit me hard when I was able to, be there for a couple of those moments. I said, man, I should retire after 2007. I should just say, fuck it, I'm out. Because I knew Pop would have said, okay, you can go. I got another position. You still get paid and whatever. But, I still had a lot of love for the game. And that's the hard part. When you love something so much.
Yeah.
It's hard to
walk away from it.
Yeah, right. It's really hard to let go.
Yeah, but it sounds like ultimately,
I was still playing up until the pandemic, because I just had love for the game. I wasn't playing hard, but I was just out there for the competition and the fellowship and just, hanging out. So it's hard to leave something you love in that, because, it's a business, but you start playing basketball for love, and then it carries over into a business. And if that business turns sour and pushes you out the door, and it can be enough. For me, it was just time. I knew it was time because of things going on off the court that was more meaningful than basketball to me, and that was my kids.
That's amazing, man. It's amazing self-awareness. I'm a dad to a 5-year-old boy. I totally get it, man. I got to spend really way more quality time with him during the pandemic, and now I try to give most of my free time to to spend with my son. I share him with his mother, so he's not always with me, but I totally but I hear exactly what you're saying, man. And Robert, thanks for giving us time today, man. Any parting words for us guys? We're launching a pod. We're just launching this thing. We don't know what the fuck
we don't know what the fuck we're doing.
You know what I mean? It's our debut. Exactly. It's our debut. It just
You know what? When you got 3 cool cats like you don't really need advice. Just enjoy, man, and just have fun talking, because there's a lot of people out there that I've heard that I be in the gym and they say, man, I love your podcast. And one guy was like, oh, I love the podcast with Mario Elliott that just came out. I'm like, dude, do you even know who Mario Elliott is? I'm like, yeah, I love old school basketball. And so just, just talk, man. Just be yourself, man. And that's what a lot of people, they tell me, we like the realness of it. You don't try to be, this high polluting, educated. Just,
I don't have any of that. So what I mean. So I got no choice but to keep it real, because I don't even know how to fake it.
Keep it 100, Rob. Keep it 100.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm not an actor, man. I'm just a writer.
From South Carolina. What part of South Carolina?
My family's from Sumter, South Carolina, right out of Columbia.
Dude, come on, man. Come on now. I don't even think you know this. My family's from South Carolina.
Oh wow, what part?
I'm from Mount Pleasant.
Dude. My uncle caught a DUI in Mount Pleasant, so I know Mount Pleasant very well. We had to go get him.
Mount Pleasant, I spent all my summers, because my dad was from Mount Pleasant, so I spent all my summers there and had a good time there fishing and hanging out, and going down to Charleston and doing all that stuff. I took my current wife, I took her to Charleston. Charleston is a very beautiful country. I don't know if you two guys ever been there.
I've been to North Carolina, man. I spent a summer in Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach. That shit was fucking beautiful.
Charleston is beautiful. Charleston, Hilton Head, all that is beautiful.
So you got Juneteenth coming up. So I took her to where all the slaves were coming in. They have it like a little walk-through store now. And my wife eyes, she's Mexican and she's never left California. She's left California, but she's never been to the South.
Right. Yeah.
And for her to see this, they used to line the slaves up right here. You should see how big her eyes got.
Yeah.
They still have this up. I said, yeah. In the South, everything's historical. They don't want to tear it down.
They don't want to tear it down.
But I thought they're taking it down, man. I thought that was the whole big thing.
Well, I mean, the
Robert E. Lee shit.
The Confederate flags and some of those statues, they're taking down. But Charleston was just such a major port where they brought in the slaves. They said in Charleston, South Carolina, they saw over 3 million slaves come through there.
I think I told you the story yesterday, man. I want to eat up Robert's time, but I went.
It's a lot of history in South Carolina. You think about it. My last name is we have Horry County in South Carolina.
Yep,
that's where everybody goes to the beach down there. And so here's one more funny story for you guys. The son that made the game-winning shot. We went down to Myrtle Beach for a family reunion.
Yeah.
And he rolled through Myrtle Beach, right? I think he was like 6 or 7 years old at the time. And I see him looking around with this puzzled look on his face.
Uh-huh.
Finally, we stop at a stop sign. He looks at me like, Dad, do we own all of this? I'm like, what? He said, everything has Ori on it. Do we own all of this? I'm like, dude, first of all, if we own all of this, we won't be rolling no damn rental car.
No, you should have told him. You should have told him who owned your family owned that part of town.
He was like, but it has our last name on it. I'm like, no, it don't work that way.
It don't work that way.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow. Well, man, listen,
funny,
Robert.
man.
Thank you so much for joining us,
Yeah,
man.
All right,
appreciate your time, man.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today, Rob. You got to come back again soon.
Stay well, brother, and thanks for the great
I'm
stories,
here for you,
man.
Because I know what it's like to, have those days when you're like, damn, we need somebody to shoot shit with. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
All right, thank you, brother.
Appreciate you, my man. Thank
All
you.
right, Robert,
Take care.
peace out.
Bye.
Oh, look at
Alistair.
Alistair.
Look at the
Alistair.
Austin, give us 10 push-ups, bro. Light work. Light work.
I want to get the camera. How are your arms feeling now?
Yeah.
Tomorrow they're gonna be sore.
Wait till we see the fucking camera work. I hope you recorded something off of that, Like that, because that was picking up the angle for us, and so was that, obviously.
Yeah, that was.
But I don't think you're set to record on that. So, when you look at all three guys, all three of them are incredibly open. All willing to be transparent about certain things. A lot of energy, big personalities. And I think. I think I'll just hope that we fucking sound like that. You know what I mean? But
I hope that we can.
I'm just happy that we
be as fluid as they were.
Birthday, and then he's South Carolina. So just
because you're into all this numerology shit. You should already tell me how much money I'm gonna make off this fucking pod just by running numbers, bro. This guy should have a chart laid out. He should be like, yo, by 2023. You're going to bank X amount on your birthday. Just fucking lay it all out, man. Yeah, I wish I understood that shit. I just try to I know good vibes from bad vibes. That's it. Unfortunately, I recognize good vibes very fucking fast, but a lot of times it takes like months and months for me to process bad vibes. I'm like, yo, is this motherfucker bad vibes? Or am I crazy? Which, by the way, we should get into it, because people...
I love how Perez started the whole thing. He goes, I'm crazy. I'm like, that's the trailer right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of is, because so we all have the fucking cray. Everybody's got the cray in some way. And it's not... And part of when we started talking about this, we should do the before rap. I don't know how we're going to fucking cut all this together, but this should obviously be the post...
Right.
Interview portion, and then we'll go and do the beginning interview and do shit fucking out of sequence.
We do it Tarantino style. It's all out of place.
What do you mean? Everything I shoot is fucking out of sequence. Of course.
Crazy story about the word cray. Kanye and Jay-Z was working on the Watch the Throne album in the Hudson Hotel, and so Niggas in Paris, Jay-Z didn't like the concept of ball so hard, that shit cray. And so Jay-Z didn't understand cray. He didn't like it. He didn't feel like it fit the song. And Kanye was like, shit is cray. He's like, I'm fucking cray. Right. And he was like, motherfuckers like acronyms. Motherfuckers like shit that they can say half of a word.
Right.
And I remember he was in the room and he was like, that shit cray. Right. He kept saying it. And Jay-Z was like, I don't get it. But once he got it, when that arena was sold out and everybody he dropped that beat, was like, fall so hard, that shit crazy.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean? Yeah, so when you said the name of the show, I was like, all this shit is so serendipitous. Yeah. How all the lines
I felt like, when we started talking about doing the show, it was like, we're coming out of this pandemic, right? And I'm seeing crazy in ways I've never seen crazy. And I'm not talking about legitimate mental health issues.
Oh, no, yeah.
Because there's a lot of that. I'm talking about just randos that are fucking crazy.
Just
I'm
crazy.
talking like, I told Sean, I said, man, I feel like I'm in a fucking zombie movie where motherfuckers are coming at me, and I'm like, yo, that
scammers just keep coming like left and right.
Scammers, hustlers, liars, just bonker motherfuckers coming at me left and right. And I'm like bobbing and weaving. And it wasn't like that before the pandemic. So I'm like, a couple things either happened, right? People went into lockdown. They got in touch with family. They got in touch with values.
They self-reflected.
They got in touch with themselves, their health, and taking care of themselves. Or people went into lockdown and went fucking crazy. They made the wrong choices.
Yep.
They put on 40 pounds. They drank every day. They depleted all their funds. Like, they just... Well, again, listen, man, I'm definitely coming out of the lockdown poorer than I went into it. Like most people, like everybody. And that's just the way fucking life it is. I wasn't collecting unemployment, man. You know what I mean? I was just fucking sitting there going like, oh, shit, that's the end before I fucking end, right? But I think that, we're living in some fucking crazy times. And
I think a lot of people got a chance to really meet their mental health face to face.
Right.
Who didn't know it. Because my cousin, like I said, Andre, God bless, who died, he called me one night during the pandemic, and he was like, I was like, hello? He was just quiet. He was like, yo. He was like, I think I suffer from depression. And he was like, do niggas get depressed? And I was like, yeah. I was like, we just got to deal with a lot of shit.
Bro, I never had depression until this pandemic.
Yeah. Oh,
I never felt like, you know, am I depressed? Am I depressed?
Yeah.
And it's hard to like put your finger on why. I mean, I'm a product of like probably 14, 15 years of therapy through my life.
Yeah.
But, you know, so I'm super self-aware and I can look at shit. But I've definitely experienced it also. But, you know, I mean, you know.
It's real.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know, again, you know, everybody's got the cray to some degree, you know what I mean? And everybody has their idiosyncrasies and little things about them that they're working on or they'd like to change. So, you know, I think our thing for the show was not to be like super serious about it, but was to kind of like destigmatize the cray.
Yeah.
Because we all cray and the world's fucking
People
cray.
should feel comfortable coming here talking about being crazy.
100%. Crazy moments, crazy stories. I mean, look at the fucking news. Only now would you have like, oh, the U.S. government, you know,
UFOs and aliens and shit.
Yeah, they fucking say and nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody.
Because it's not even the craziest
it's
shit.
It's not the craziest shit. I was like, when they said that now the government has announced and said that UFOs and extraterrestrials really exist.
It took
and we
over.
didn't give a fuck.
It became one of the main topics. Really, I feel like ever since they did that, all I hear is UFO.
Well, I got a fucking.
See, I think it's opposite. I think it was like
nobody cares.
Think it was, yeah, I don't think anybody gives a fuck. I think it was like on Clubhouse, we would have Stephen Greer in there and rooms we would do, and he would talk about UFOs. I'm not even a UFO guy. I'm not a sci-fi guy. I might even, well, obviously.
See, I never cared about it, but now I feel like I hear it.
But I don't even watch sci-fi shit. I only seen the original Star Wars. I never saw any of the other ones. People talk to me about Star Wars characters. I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about.
Because the alien life form is very quick depiction of Star Wars.
I have an anxiety attack.
No. But what I'm saying is, like, I don't know.
We got Darth Vader out there threatening it.
What, like, people were super into it, but what I'm saying is it's not. Like, I feel like if 10 years ago
they said it would have meant more.
Everybody everywhere would be like this.
There's so much more distraction
right, now. It's just like,
you're like, all right,
oh,
cool.
is you know, COVID biological? Was it weaponized? It's just the politics.
Anytime a celebrity passes away, there's conspiracy theories. Took him out. Did you hear they took him out? I'm like, dude, what do you mean?
Like, stories change too fast. You know what I mean? The actual stories travel super fast. The new ones are coming. You can't.
It's a 24-hour news cycle. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna talk about UFOs or wet markets. Like what the fuck are we gonna talk
There
about?
was this. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia did an episode about that where they're like, you could say the worst thing ever. There's a 24-hour news cycle.
But
like
that's
the
not
next
true.
day.
That's not true.
Well, this came out like 3 years ago.
You hope.
This came out
for the 24
years ago before
Let me tell you
everything
something.
changed.
Harvey Weinstein, when that shit dropped on Harvey Weinstein,
that was pre-Harvey Weinstein.
He was going. It's a 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah.
It ain't. You know what I mean?
Not anymore.
When your story drops, that's what you look for. You go, should we get into crisis control? You know, and all of that shit. And then you look and you go, okay, it's 24 hours, starting to die down. It's when it gets picked up and picked up and picked up.
Like
the Chrissy Teigen shit. I don't want to turn this into a fucking gossip show.
Oh, about the guy who had like a nervous breakdown or something.
Well, that was the Michael Costello shit. But originally, Chrissy Teigen got called out by that girl, right? Courtney Stodden, right? And then you go, I'm sure she was sitting there going like, nobody's going to give a fuck. It's going to go away. And really, most I don't want to say sites because some of them are still mags, like, you know what I mean? But most of them did not pick up that story, obviously because they have relationships with Chrissy Teigen. But they didn't pick it up, but it didn't go away.
It didn't go away.
And it just evolved.
Lingered.
Right.
It was like a snowball. It kept getting bigger. My wife was talking about it.
And they kept hitting her Instagram.
Yep.
And it kept building and building until
finally
it broke through. Then more people came out.
I think it's also maybe because just like the audience, the fans out there always kind of suspected that, like, oh, you know, maybe she is a bully. Like that, if Dwayne Johnson, someone comes and accuses Dwayne Johnson of being a bully, no one's gonna believe it because they're like, dude, the guy's a saint. He's like, you know. But there's certain people where you kind of maybe see it here and there, or you hear about it. So when it happens,
all
you'll
my
see
friends
it pick up steam.
Dude, I got a whole group of friends who are makeup artists, hair people. That's all they talk about. It was like this.
Yeah, because they fucking know.
She's a bully. She's a bully.
There's a reason why.
They say that about Chrissy. No,
Chrissy Teigen.
Yeah.
All my friends who are in that fashion, hair, makeup world, it's like she's the worst person.
Yeah, I heard crazy shit about her.
They're like,
from
she
New
damn
York
near want to
back
get her
in the day,
makeup
but-
done, but not use her own face. Like, don't touch me.
That was
It's not,
awesome.
not a bad first episode, right?
We did get dude. I got it. You were fucking amazing.
No, you were fucking amazing.
No, you're fucking awesome, man.
I think we can all agree that
Yeah,
I
sure.
was fucking amazing.
For
Okay,
sure.
you know.
Your beard is amazing.
It doesn't work as well when you compliment yourself. You got to wait for it to go.
Yeah.
We had to turn to you and
Yeah.
say, but
go full circle.
much gratitude to the three amazing guests we had.
Definitely.
Right.
Thank you for
Adam and Perez
donating some awesome items for us to put on the store. You know, also be sure to check out the Cray store on Mercari. #ShopTheCray. We'll have some really cool products that the team gave us.
we said it before. You know, all the proceeds go to charity, benefit Children's Hospital of LA, and and we have to thank Mercari for building out that store for us and supporting us.
So
and,
dope.
In the endeavor, and
the store is now live, so be sure to check it out. And what do we got next week? We're back in here next week with Ashley Benson, right?
Yeah, I believe Ashley's in there. But I think this will be the danger of this. But fuck it, let's roll the dice about Ashley showing up. She's a homie. I fucking love her.
Okay.
There's no way
I want to
Ashley
post this week. No, because by the time we post this, Ashley will or will not have been in the studio.
So there we go.
Because we're 1 week out. But yeah, Ashley Benson's going to come in.
Nice.
She might or might not take us on a little tour in New York City so we can see with our own eyes.
There we go.
Yeah.
What it's looking like over there. And hell yeah, man. I'm looking forward to getting into more of these, chopping it up with some really cool guests. And
Shout out to our amazing team, by the way, that's helping keep us afloat
fucking poor
during this
Hollister,
first
man.
episode.
He had to run.
Hollister,
Dude.
I think he had to go for physical therapy from holding the laptop.
Steve, Brandon, Raphael.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys so
Yeah,
much.
awesome.
Looking forward to have
crew.
you guys here with us every week as we delve into the world of the Cray.
The Cray.
The cray. The fucking cray.
Crazy
Just the
world.
fucking cray.
Crazy
All right.
times.